Jackie Hauser with Flexner Hauser Injury Law. This is our podcast, Laughter in the Law, where we talk about the law with a lighthearted twist. And we have a guest with us today who many of you already know, Miss V. Everhart. Welcome to the podcast, V.
Thank you, Jackie.
I just ripped you out of your office and said, come to a podcast.
Yes, you did.
She had no preparation whatsoever.
None.
But we've been wanting to talk to her anyway. We had Cam on, a workers' comp attorney, in a couple of podcasts ago, and we couldn't get V on, but now we got her on, and so we get to talk to her individually, and Cam doesn't get to steal any of her spotlight.
That's right. That's a good thing.
So I want you, for those who haven't had a workers' comp case with us, to tell us about your legal experience, and then we'll get to talking about some workers' comp stuff. But tell us about your legal experience.
Okay. I have quite a bit of legal experience. As a matter of fact, I believe I was the first paralegal in Wilmington when I went to paralegal school.
Wow.
And so I worked for a firm downtown for 35 years and took a break. And then I came here for an interview and was hired with no workers' comp experience.
Okay.
I think just my knowledge of around the office, legalities, atmosphere, dealing with clients, which was one of my favorite things to do.
Yeah.
I think that they took note of that, and I've learned pretty quickly, and I love what I do.
Yeah. And so you and Cam are the rock star workers' comp team here.
Yep, that's what we do.
And you're the real superstar. We know that.
Yes.
So if you haven't seen our Google reviews, Miss V pops up in almost every Google review. Those workers' comp folks love her, and they will mention her name, actually. They won't just say, they took care of my workers' comp claim. They'll say, Miss V is the best, and things like that.
I appreciate that, too.
I don't know if you're paying for these reviews. Or...
No. I haven't had to go that far yet to pay anyone.
I don't think so either, because you get a lot of calls, and I think you take good care of people.
I try to, because you know what? When these people come to us, they're in dire straits.
Yeah.
They may not be working at all. They may not have any additional income. And I guess the number one thing is they need medical treatment, and they're having a tough time getting it.
Right. And, so many times if they've been injured and they're out of work, their employer and the workers' comp just may not be communicating with them at all.
Exactly.
Or the employer may say, well, you got to deal with workers' comp, and then workers' comp is off somewhere doing whatever they do.
Right.
Delay.
Sometimes, even though the employer has been notified of the accident, they make no measures to contact the employee, send them to a medical facility at all. And then they might still mention workers' comp. The employer might at some point mention workers' comp, but then there's no communication from workers' comp. And, the poor injured worker is getting no contact from anybody.
Right.
So you've just got to get in there and put a bug in their ear that says, get a move on. I tell people, I tell the insurance companies, I tell defense attorneys, hey, our client needs treatment. And we need it sooner rather than later.
And, the other side of that coin, and we've seen this happen so much, is workers' comp does get involved. And that adjuster, the employees and the clients will tell us, that adjuster was so nice. She was so nice to me. And they're so nice, and they take your recorded statement, and then they deny your claim.
That's the really kind of sad part, because
it is.
They're very nice to people. They say, oh, we'll take care of your medical bills, this or that. Then they do a recorded statement, and the people are nervous. Our clients are nervous. They don't know what to say. They don't know how to word things or describe what happened to them. And then, after that, they may get a notice that their case has been denied.
And also,
so they're not really on their side.
Oh, they are not. And also, they're fed questions that leads to a denial most of the time.
That's very possible, yes.
Without an attorney there, if I don't, on the personal injury side, we don't give recorded statements. We give written statements. And but I know Cam says if you want to take a recorded statement, you're going to take it with me there.
Exactly.
Yep.
And unfortunately, recently, we've had a few clients who had already done a recorded statement by the time they got to us.
Yeah.
And it was a negative thing.
Yeah.
So I tell everybody, I ask everyone, have you done a recorded statement? And if they say no, but they want me to do one, I say, hold it. You
Exactly.
let me handle that because Cameron will be on the phone at the same time.
Right. That's very detrimental to your case. And these insurance companies know what they're doing. They've been doing this a long time. They've been taking money away from good people who've been injured a long time. This isn't their first rodeo. And that very nice person is trying to take away your benefits. The employee can have a great relationship with their employer. They may love their job, but explain how it's different or explain the difference between the employer and the workers' comp carrier.
You're very right about people come in and say, oh, my boss is so good to me. I've been there so long. I just love them so much. But they don't understand that once that claim is filed with the Industrial Commission in Raleigh, their employer's out of the ball game.
Right.
It's everything then is up to the workers' comp insurer or carrier to run the show.
Right.
And they are like any other type of insurance person, I'm sorry to say, that if they don't have to pay a dime, they're not going to pay a dime.
Exactly.
So they just can't rely on their favoritism or their appreciation for their employer because the employer's not running the show.
Yeah. And just like, and I'm assuming this is true, you tell me, do you find that sometimes, I almost can't ask this with a straight face, do you find that sometimes insurance companies like workers' comp carriers are not truthful with the employee that's injured?
Yes. Yes, I do. And unfortunately, it happens way too often. And it gets to the point, like you just said, sometimes it's laughable.
It's almost, it's sadly comical. It happens so much.
And I mean, they will tell a person, oh, you don't need to go to an attorney. We'll get you through this. You don't need to do anything. We'll just let you know what to do, when to do it, and sail through. Well, that could not be any more less of the truth.
Yeah.
Because they'll help you sail through it with no benefit to you.
Right, exactly. Because they're not going to come up at the end of whenever you finish your treatment and say, hey, now we want to give you a settlement.
Oh, heavens no.
Oh, they're not going to say that.
Oh, they're going to say, yes, we'll pay your medical bills. And so when they get finished with their treatment, they'll say, thank you, goodbye.
Yeah.
And the person says, well, wasn't I supposed to get something? Wasn't something else supposed to happen?
Right.
And they'll say, no, we were just paying your medical expense. So they took out the whole mediation, the whole negotiation of any type of settlement.
With people who are permanently injured, who may not be able to return to the same job, and even still, even without hiring an attorney, they can still lose their job, can't they?
Yes, and that's why, number one, do hire an attorney. It will help you. I cannot tell you how much it will help you because that's what we're here for, to work through it with you. And I tell everybody it is a process, and it's not necessarily a short process, but it's one you have to go through.
Right. Well, it's not a short process because the insurance companies, all of them, not just workers' comp, but their main goal is to delay. We're going to delay so that you become desperate. And desperate people make bad decisions.
Yes, they do.
And, unfortunately, that they know that as a tactic, and they use it to their benefit.
And you know what? When a person has had treatment that has been paid for by workers' comp, even if the case is over and the injured worker is saying, well, what's next? What's next? They may even say, oh, well, we'll give you a check for $2,000. Well, you know what? $2,000 is a lot less than what they deserve.
Yeah.
A lot.
And of course, the important thing about that is Cam sits down and evaluates each case.
Yes.
And he can evaluate that case and tell the client exactly what he believes based on his experience as a workers' comp specialist, 20 plus years in this profession, what that case is worth. I guarantee you that whatever his evaluation is, it is much more than workers' comp would have ever even offered if they'd offered anything at all.
Yes, that is true. And let me tell you, I don't know how he does it, but he can evaluate those cases. I mean, down to almost what the settlement's going to be. So say someone's in a mediation, they get it's on the table, blank estimate for the settlement. I mean, he knows automatically if that's a good settlement,
Sure.
an okay settlement, or a settlement that you just have to say, absolutely not.
And see, that's where hiring counsel is so important. You know, we sit at this table all the time with mediations. I sit here with personal injury, we do it with workers' comp. And so whenever offers are brought to us, I can tell my client that is or is not a good offer, you know.
Yes.
Now, it's up to them whether or not they accept it.
That's
but I want to
correct.
give them all the pieces so they can make a good decision. But you know, I told a client the other day in a mediation, I said, I know this is your first mediation. It's not mine. I've been doing this.
I like that.
I've been doing this many decades. I know what the value of this case is. And so that's why you hired me.
Yes.
And that same exact thing happens with workers' comp. But they're not going to get that. They're not even going to get to that table. They won't even sit at a table if they don't hire counsel.
No.
No. Tell them, for folks who haven't hired us before, tell us about what it's like at that initial conference that we hold with, and you and I are usually at that initial conference, and Cam pipes in at some point, but tell us about that initial conference.
Well, we get an appointment scheduled, and our person comes in.
Or we do it by phone or Zoom.
Yeah, we can do phone or Zoom. Sometimes people are out of town, or sometimes they're not able to travel to us.
And I'm sorry to interrupt you again, because we don't just handle people in Wilmington.
No.
We handle people all across North Carolina.
Yes.
So we've
And so
had people
those
in
are-
Charlotte and
Yes.
everywhere. So.
And we can even Zoom for mediations
Absolutely.
when our clients are out of town
Absolutely.
to help them. But we have paperwork that we gather all the pertinent information. And you speak to them about the hiring process, because until they hire us, we cannot talk to the Industrial Commission in Raleigh to get a copy of any previous documents that have been filed, et cetera.
Right.
And once we get the file set up, they have their own computer folders. Every topic has a separate folder. Once that's completed, I go through everything. I do a rough draft of their claim with the Industrial Commission. Cameron reviews everything and does an initial evaluation of their case. And then we set a phone conference with them and Cam, with the client and Cam.
Or he can meet them in person.
Yeah, and if
Usually
they,
it's phone because most people prefer that. But yeah.
Right. Yes, need be. If the client would rather have in person, we can certainly do that for them. And then it starts from there. It starts moving forward slowly but surely. Once we're on board with the Industrial Commission, we find out who the adjuster is. We find out if when an attorney's brought on board, and just go through the motions of getting our client treatment and whatever else they need. TTD, which is temporary total disability payments.
Payment for being out of work.
Yes, if they're out of work and cannot work,
Right.
They would then get 2/3 of their weekly salary paid to them by the workers' comp carrier.
And so at that initial conference, we usually spend a lot of time with them there because
Yes.
we number one, we collect a lot of background information.
Yes.
And then we collect past medical information.
Yes.
That may or may not be pertinent, but we want to know it.
Yes.
And then we want to know all about their job and their employer and what their regular job was. We want to know about their rate of pay because we want to make sure whenever they give them that TTD that it is the right amount.
That's right. And that's why Cameron, that's why we need to know their hourly rate.
Yes.
How many days a week they work, how many hours a day they work. And we do request all of that information from their employer as well from the date of accident backwards for 1 year. Because Cameron has calculations that he prepares that will show exactly what their TTD check should be.
Exactly.
Because he does not want them shortchanged.
Because we don't take what the workers' comp adjuster says as truth until we verify it.
No, and unfortunately, we have seen clients where they're getting less than they were supposed to get,
Imagine that.
and they were even paid less in some instances than they were supposed to be being paid.
Imagine that.
Yes. So there's all kinds of little things we find out that we're able to help our client with.
Yeah. I like earning my fee, and I think in workers' comp we do a really good job of it. We
I do
earn our
too.
fee, we work hard, but that initial conference, back to that, because we do verify what their pay is and what their TTD should be.
Yes.
And then we find out, where have you gotten treatment? And so that's where sometimes it gets shocking to me because you may have people coming in here they can't use their arm or they've got a rotator cuff tear and all that workers' comp doing is sending them to an urgent care.
That's exactly
Three
what
or
happens.
4 or 5 visits to an urgent care for a rotator cuff tear. We're not going to get a rotator cuff tear fixed at urgent care.
Absolutely not.
You're not going to get, lumbar disc herniation fixed at urgent care.
No.
And so many times without an attorney involved, that's all they're doing is kind of band-aiding the situation, hoping this person either gets better or gets so desperate they think they can go back to work.
Or they offer them a very minuscule amount.
Yeah.
Because the poor people are desperate.
Exactly. And so that's where I really get my blood starts boiling whenever they start telling me about their medical treatment. And it's not even anything that I go to urgent care because I got the flu, or
Me too.
I need 2 stitches.
Right.
But not because I've torn my rotator cuff.
Exactly. As a matter of fact, we had a client the other day, and I think it had been a week or two, and they hadn't had any care except for urgent care, Medac, whatever.
Yeah.
And I said, let me tell you. They said, well, we're waiting on the employer to send us or the workers' comp carrier. I said, you're not going to get fixed at an urgent care or Medac.
Right.
You're going to have surgery by an orthopedic doctor.
Right.
It just doesn't click with people.
Yeah.
Because number one, they're hurt.
Well, it goes back to the thing that we said initially. They're equating all of this as their employer is going to take care of them.
Exactly.
And their employer is not in charge.
No, they have no, not at all.
Your employer can be you have a great employer.
I do. I have the best employer. Yes, I do.
But if you trip and bump your head today, I'm not going to be in charge of your medical care or your workers' comp claim.
No.
I have workers' comp insurance, and they're going to swoop in and take over.
Yeah.
And I truly believe they're going to tell me things like, well, V's hiring an attorney. She's hiring an attorney. She's expecting to milk this as long as she can. Well, that's going to make me angry at V. And then I might have a few words to say to V about that if I didn't know the system.
Yeah.
But, that's where it sours sometimes because the workers' comp adjuster starts communicating with human resources, starts saying snarky things. Well, they've hired an attorney. You might as well let them go.
Yeah.
Or we're going to make them let them go to settle. We won't let them continue working there. I mean, they'll make that part of the settlement agreement, right?
Yeah, they can do that.
Yeah.
And they'll tell the worker, they'll push the point, well, you don't need an attorney. We're going to take care of you.
Right. We're going to talk about that. Let me we've rabbit trailed. Oh, there's so much to talk about.
I know. I love talking about it.
So that's one thing we do. Whenever we see that this treatment is not what this person needs, and I'm not a medical doctor, but I can tell you if you got a rotator cuff and you can't use your arm, you need more than an urgent care.
Yes, you do.
And you need more than an aspirin. And so whenever we get involved, we start pushing that.
Yes.
Pushing these appointments. Now, does it happen fast? No, because nothing in the insurance company happens fast. Back to their favorite word, delay. But it does get done.
Yes.
And it gets done because we're pushing and we know. See, they know that we know.
Yes.
And, it's like Cam said it. I thought this was the best thing that Cam said in his podcast, and we've actually said it to clients as well. The problem isn't that they're nice to you. The problem isn't all that. The problem is you don't know, as a client, you don't know what the adjuster knows. And the adjuster's never going to tell you all that you need to know. That's why you hire an attorney.
Exactly.
Because the attorney knows what the adjuster knows. The attorney knows how you're supposed to be treated. Mm-hmm. And that adjuster may know it, but they're not going to tell you.
No.
They're not ever going to tell you that.
I tell my people, if you've talked to the adjuster and whatnot before, you're coming here to hire us. Mm-hmm. I said, just understand one thing. They are not your friend.
Exactly.
They are not on your side.
They can be friendly, but they are not your friend.
Yes.
We can be friendly and professional. We're friendly and professional every day with
Yes.
people that are opponents as well as our clients.
Right.
But that doesn't mean that we are friends.
Nope.
So let's talk about those folks who and one of my favorite clients, she did this. She hired us. She was in a bad accident while on the job. She hired us for both the accident, which was caused by somebody else. So she had 2 claims. She had that accident claim, and then she also had a workers' comp claim because she was on the job. And she came in and she hired us, and then she called us a few weeks later and said she was not going to let us handle the workers' comp claim. She was going to handle it on her own.
I remember that.
Yeah. And then she would call in every few weeks and go, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. They're saying this. My employer is saying this, and she couldn't work.
Right.
You know? And she had children. And
That's
she
the
couldn't
worst
work.
part. She couldn't work.
She was a single mom with children and couldn't work.
Right.
And the employer's telling her one thing, and the workers' comp people are pushing her. And so she finally called in one day, and I felt so sorry, but I was still handling her motor vehicle part of it.
Right.
But she would call and ask us workers' comp questions, and she finally called in one day, and she said, I feel like I'm all alone. And she was talking about the workers' comp thing.
Yeah.
And I said, honey, you are.
Yes, you're.
I said,
Isn't that sad?
It is. I finally got through to her. I said, honey, there's no one on your side.
Yeah.
And you've never handled a workers' comp claim before.
And you know what? It is not if I didn't know, if I had never done any workers' comp before, I wouldn't know what to do.
Exactly.
Much less her.
Exactly.
I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I think her workers' comp, I think they told her that if she got an attorney, she would be fired.
Yeah, they did. Yeah. They
Now,
say
you know
that all
that-
the time. And she loved her job. She
I know.
loved what
She wanted to
did.
keep her job.
She did. She did everything she could to keep her job.
Mm-hmm.
But it was just, but I finally did. I think that woke her up. I said, honey, you are alone.
Yeah.
You need someone who knows what they're doing because these people are not on your side.
Nope.
And so she came back.
She did.
And she got a great settlement.
Yes, she did.
Yes.
We were very pleased with everything.
Oh, my goodness. I was so happy for her. And then she got a great settlement on the motor vehicle side as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I think about her all the time because she did that. She hired us and then she listened to other voices, but she finally realized these people over here at this table, these people are the ones that are going to take care of me.
Yeah, that's what we do.
Because you need somebody in your corner, And so a lot of times people come to us, though, and they've been handling this for a while, and then they decide to hire us. What kind of problems does that present sometimes?
Yes, sometimes people will handle it on their own for months, even a year. Mm-hmm. We've had people come 2 years.
Yeah.
And the problem is, okay, they had some medical bills paid. Okay, some of the bills maybe weren't paid. Mm-hmm. So now they're getting bills in the mail. Mm-hmm. They've already released the the recorded statement, and then they get to an impasse. It's come to the point that the workers' comp is done. And we say, well, are you finished treating? They say, well, my doctor said I need 6 more weeks or 12 more weeks of PT, but the workers' comp hasn't scheduled it. I said, well, I don't think your case is ended.
But workers' comp says it has.
That's right. But, if they bring us on as an attorney, we, of course, have to go backwards somewhat to get the file from the Industrial Commission, what has already been filed. Mm-hmm. We have to get all their medical records to get us up to speed because Cameron reads every medical record. Mm-hmm. And then we can try to push forward with what they still need as treatment and hopefully get them a good settlement.
Yeah. And then, of course, we have folks who hire us from day one. Usually that's so much more beneficial for the client because we are there from day one. There hasn't been any type of communications or misinformation provided by the workers' comp carrier. And, the important thing is in this, and I tell this to personal injury clients as well, if I can't help you, I tell you up front. If there's some reason why I can't help you, Cam does the same thing on the workers' comp side. He like you were talking about, he evaluates that case from day one, from cover to cover, and then he says, we're going to take this, we're going to help this person, we think we can help them. Or he may say, we can't help them.
That's right.
There may be some other, we won't get into all the things, he talked about that in his podcast, but there may be reasons why we can't help. And we'll be upfront about that.
Yeah, and unfortunately, every now and then, something does arise. That we can't help a person. Yeah. But a high majority of the time, yes, we can help you, help the injured party, and that's what we do. That's our job.
Yeah. All right, we only got a few minutes left. I want you, if you can think about somebody, I want you to tell me about what I would call either a favorite client or a case that you worked on that just left a lasting impression on you. Obviously we're not going to get into details, but
Right.
have you got one that's on the top of your mind that you worked on that you really it is still you still think about it today?
Yes, there are several, but one that I'd just like to mention. This gentleman was a laborer on equipment, heavy duty equipment, and he was injured in an accident on the job. And he was severely injured, every inch of his body. And he went
Because
through,
the equipment failed.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, there was an equipment failure, and I'm surprised he survived the accident. It was so severe. And we had to fight and fight and fight to get him a motorized wheelchair so he could go out in the yard and get some sunshine and fresh air.
Because workers' comp didn't see that as necessary.
No.
Yeah.
And he needed something based upon his yard, the ground,
Yeah.
etc. So it was specialized, but otherwise he couldn't even get in and out of his house.
Right.
Without a wheelchair.
Right.
That was, they could attach to their car, get to doctor's appointments, etc. And he was a very humble, hardworking, kind man. His family was very good to him. And unfortunately, the poor man passed away before he could have a settlement, before he knew what the settlement was. In other words, he did receive a settlement.
He did receive a settlement.
Yes, he did receive a settlement. But I thought it's sad that he wasn't with us to know that he got such a great settlement and how it benefited his family.
Yeah.
He was just a good, all around, decent, hardworking man.
Yeah.
And it just went on for so long and so long. And there was nothing rushed, in other words, because the poor man was so injured.
Yeah.
And it could have been done sooner.
Yeah, exactly. And I agree with you. He was one of those clients that he was a joy to work for and to work with.
Yes.
And you wanted just to, and we have many clients like that. We want to work for them and get the best that we can for them. And he was such a joy.
He was.
And I know exactly who you're talking about.
Yeah.
Great guy.
Yeah.
So that's a good one. And
It is.
now he had so many injuries. I think that did take a long time.
It did.
But as usual, workers' comp doesn't care.
No.
They don't care.
No.
They don't care that they don't care that he might pass away. That's not their problem.
Yeah. And he did receive care.
Yeah.
But I just always kind of felt in the back of my mind that, if it had just been speeded up with the approvals of this and approvals of that, because, everything has to be approved before it goes forward.
Yeah.
Has to be approved by workers' comp, who run the show.
Well, and speaking of new clients, and I'll just run this by you real quickly, we've got a new client. We've only had about 30 days, and we've asked for this one thing at least 5 times.
I have. Maybe more.
Maybe more, but at least 5 times from workers' comp, a very simple thing for them to send to us.
Yes.
We've gotten involved, literally been involved a month at the time of this taping.
Yes.
And just crickets out there.
Yes.
And that's how they do.
Yes. I have emailed. It was in our letter of representation to the adjuster. It's even specifically mentioned in that letter.
Yeah.
It's law. They have to provide that
They
to us.
have to provide it, yeah.
And I've emailed more times. I sent a letter to their employer, which is unusual. We don't normally have to do that, but I had to.
So, there's things we can do. We're not sitting over here wringing our hands going, oh, no, what will we do? There's things legally we can do, which we are about to do.
It's going to happen.
But it's just an example of how, the one where he passed away before he got his settlement, and then even a brand new case that we've taken in where it's just delay. That's just their mantra. And so we're just going to have to, say, well, if you're not going to provide it voluntarily, we'll get it the other way. We'll get it the easy way or the hard way.
That's right.
But we're going to get it.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but I appreciate all you do, Miss V. And I'm not
thank
just
you,
saying
Jackie.
that for the camera.
Well, I appreciate
But
that.
you, obviously, the clients love you. They love you. They love you enough to mention you in Google reviews, and and I think you do a great job taking care of them and taking care of your cases.
Well, thank you,
And
Jackie.
we love you being part of our team.
Well, thank you, and I love my work family.
And your
This
boss.
and my boss. Well, you are my work family. You and everybody else in the office, and as hard as you work for your clients, all your clients, that's how hard I hope to continue working for you.
Well, we thank you. You do a great job.
You're welcome.
All right. Well, that's all the time we have for today on Laughter in the Law. We thank you for tuning in, where we talk about the law with a lighthearted twist.